Good day to Sir and my fellow friends. We are for Group 9 and we are here to present our project of Workplace Hazard Identification and Risk Control in the Mechanical Engineering Laboratory at FTKMA. Our group member consists of Ko Ilang, me, Ko Pei, Muhammad Amil Hakim bin Hasbullah, Siti Fateha binti Muhammad Azmi, and Muhammad Hafid Husaini bin Khairul Anwar.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning. Okay, today our group will present about workplace hazard identification and risk control. Okay, for chapter 1, introduction, background of the selected workplace. Okay, for our location study is at Mechanical and Automotive Engineering Laboratory at FTKMA UMPSA. Primary users, which is undergraduate student conducting hands-on experiment alongside their supervisor. For typical activity, painting, electronic component testing and general machining. For common hazards, excessive noise, sharp objects, rotating machinery, hot surface, slippery flow, and chemical fumes. For common injuries, for example, cut, burn, hand or eye injury, slips, and fall resulting from unsafe behavior or improper PPE use. Okay, for our objective of our project, first identify hazards. We identify potential hazards that can be treated to students, lecturer, technician, and other users of laboratory during their practical sessions. And second, analyze consequence. First, to analyze the potential impact of the accidents or unsafe working practice on employees, equipment, and the workplace environment. And last, suggest control. To make suitable suggestion to control or remove workplace hazard through PPE, SOP, training, supervision, and maintenance. Okay, for scope of the project, our target environment is the working environment of the mechanical and automotive engineering laboratory. Our target demographics, undergraduate students, lecturers, supervisors, technicians, and other works. For access equipment, such as machining equipment, welding, electrical tools, testing equipment, and lab machinery. For access hazard type, physical, mechanical, electrical, chemical, ergonomic, and fire hazard. For example, noise, heat, chemical, fumes, improper posture, workplace organization.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Haziq Husaini bin Khairul and my metric number is MA23006. I'm going to present the type of hazards, which is physical hazards. We have three physical hazards in this lab. The first one is noise exposure, which is insufficient sound barriers between the active workshop and the engineering laboratory cause continuous noise exposures to the laboratory users. The second one is broken walkway, severely damaged and peeling vinyl flooring along the walkway. And the third one is missing ties, missing suspended ceiling tie and leaving a large open gap. For the other hazards, we have ergonomic hazards, poor workplace organization and cramped working area. We have biological hazards, water stains and mold contamination on ceiling tiles located directly beside the heating, ventilation and air conditioning HVAC system. And the last one, we have chemical or ergonomic hazards, which is improper storage of flammable aerosol cans that are chemical, and many type of chemical aerosol cans mixed up together at the same place. The consequence of hazard. For physical hazard, continuous noise exposures, the impact on worker, hearing damage, which is noise-induced hearing loss and IHL. It can also increase stress and mental fatigue for the workers, and also communication breakdown, which is can misunderstandings among the workers. For impact on equipment, calibration issues from vibration can impact damage to mobile tools, and impact for environment, acoustic pollution, continuous loud sound can trigger stress and sleep disturbance around the environment. For severely damaged and peeling vinyl, the impact on worker is physical injury such as trip and fall hazard for workers that are carrying samples, tools or chemical. Impact on equipment, mobile equipment cut with highly sensitive instruments drop if a wheel catches on the peeling floor. And the last one, impact on environment, is damaged flooring traps dirt and prevent effective deep cleaning and sanitation of the lab space. Missing suspended ceiling tile, leaving a large open gap. Impact on worker, risk of falling debris, dust or hidden objects striking workers below. For impact on equipment, dust, insulation fibers and debris fall directly into sensitive machinery, optic and computers. And for environment, it disrupts the negative or positive pressure dynamics of the room and leads to HVAC system inefficiencies. For biological hazard, water stains and mold contamination on ceilings. Impact on worker is respiratory illness. Inhalation of mold spores can cause chronic coughing. Impact on equipment, mold spores can infiltrate optical equipment like microscope, circuit board and sensitive organic samples. It can ruin the equipment. Impact on environment, the proximity to the HVAC system allows mold spore to be actively distributed throughout the entire building airflow. And chemical hazard, improper storage of highly flammable pressurized aerosol cans. For the impact on worker, it can cause fatal injury, which is high risk of severe burns, shrapnel injuries or death if a fire or explosion occurs. Impact on equipment, if a fire starts, pressurized can act as missiles, spreading fire rapidly and destroying all lab assets. Impact on environment, an explosion releases toxic chemical vapors that contaminates the local air and water supply through airborne. The last one is ergonomic hazard, which is poor workplace organization and cramped working area. Impact on workers, musculoskeletal disorders (MSDS), which is chronic back, neck and shoulder strain from awkward posture and restricted movement. Impact on equipment, a cramped workspace increases the risk of workers bumping into, scratching or knocking over expensive benchtop equipment. And the last one, impact on environment, it creates crowded, unmanageable trash piles around the lab.
Hi, my name is Ko Liang. I'm A22124. So now I will explain about the control measure following the hierarchy of control. So first is the control measure for physical hazard. As you can see, our hazard is noise exposure. So my measuring measure is install noise isolation wall panel or acoustic enclosure. Administrative, we can use the strict rotation schedule so that we always have the student to set, or maybe the lecturer to follow the schedule. And we can also wear PPE where we can wear the earplug. So here is the control measure for the physical hazard for the flooring and ceiling. So we can do the elimination. We remove and replace all the peeling vinyl flooring, And we can also do the engineering for the ceiling, which is the replacement of the missing panel to restore physical barrier. For the floor, we can use the warning tape. And for the biological control, so there is a molding, there's a mold. So the elimination, we can just survey and fix water leaks, then remove and replace the contaminated tiles. For the engineering control, we can increase the ventilation and make sure that the HVAC system is keep the humidity under 60%. And for the chemical control, we need to make sure that our engineering control is move the designated fire resistant chemical storage cabinets, and then the administrative, we can display the standardized hazard pictographs and enforce the SOP for the returning of the chemicals. And last is for the ergonomic hazard. As we can see, before this, the hazard is very cramped working area. So when equipment is stored on the floor, so workers are forced into a non-neutral position, which is risking the MSDS. Engineering control is we can completely reorganize the laboratory layout, same as this picture. So we can add a raised workstation as a efficient work table to reduce the bending and squatting. For the administrative, we can just add the strict adherence to the 5S. So we do 5S such as salt, sand, order, shine, standardize to keep our workways clean.
Good day everyone, my name is Ko-Pei. Now I will explain about the highlight table of our project. As shown in the table, the first hazard is continuous noise exposure from the nearby machining laboratory. The likelihood is rated 4, which is high, because machining activities are carried out regularly and the laboratory is located close to the machining area. Therefore, the laboratory users are frequently exposed to excessive noise. The severity is rated 4 because long-term exposure to high noise level can cause permanent hearing loss. It may also increase stress and reduce concentration. The risk score is 16, which is classified as high risk. An immediate control measure should be taken is to install acoustic noise insulation wall panels. The second hazard is missing ceiling panels. The likelihood is rated 3, which is moderate, because dust or debris may fall occasionally due to vibration, air movement, or deterioration above the ceiling. The severity is rated 3 because falling debris may cause injuries or respiratory irritation, but the injuries are usually not severe enough to cause permanent disability or death. The risk score is 9, which is classified as medium risk, and the corrective action should be taken is to replace the missing ceiling panels. The third hazard is water stands and mold contamination on the ceiling tiles near the HVAC system. The likelihood is rated 4, which is also high, because mold is already present and the HVAC system can spread mold spores throughout the laboratory. The severity is rated 3, because mold exposure can cause respiratory illness or allergic reactions. Although these health effects can become serious for some individuals, they are generally treatable and no life-threatening. Therefore, the risk score is 12, which is classified as medium risk, and the corrective measure should be taken is to repair the structural water pipe leakage and improve the air ventilation in the laboratory. The fourth hazard is poor workplace organization and a cramped working area. The likelihood is rated 5, which is very high, because laboratory users are exposed to this condition every day during laboratory activities. The severity is rated 3 because it can cause back pain, muscle strains, and musculoskeletal disorders. While these conditions may affect long-term health and productivity, they are generally not life-threatening. Therefore, the risk score is 15, which is classified as high risk, and the immediate improvement to the laboratory layout are required. The fifth hazard is several damage and peeling falling along the walkway. The likelihood is rated 2, which is low, because the damaged area is clearly visible and can usually be avoided by laboratory users. The severity is rated 2 because the resulting injuries such as slip, ankle sprain, or minor fractures are generally temporary and recoverable. Therefore, the risk score is 4, which is classified as low risk. Hence, the following should be repaired to eliminate the trip hazards. The sixth hazard is the improper storage of highly flammable pressurized aerosol spray cans on an open shelf. The likelihood is rated 2, which is low, because a fire or explosion only occurs when specified conditions such as heat, spark, or leakage are present. The severity is rated 5, which is very high, because the explosion or fire may cause several burns, major property damage, and even fatalities. Therefore, the risk score is 10, which is classified as medium risk. Hence, the aerosol spray can should be stored in a fire-resistant chemical storage cabinet. That's all for me.
Hi, my name is Siti Fatihah binti Muhammad Azmi. My metric ID is MA23005. I will go for the conclusion. To wrap things up, our team's safety inspection of the mechanical and automotive engineering lab identifies 6 distinct hazards across physical, biological, chemical, and ergonomic categories. Using high-rate framework, we determined that the most critical high-risk hazard is the continuous noise exposure from the adjacent machining workshop. Since noise-induced hearing loss is completely irreversible, installing acoustic noise insulation panels is our top priority recommendation. Ultimately, this project taught us that high-rate is not a one-off task, but a continuous cycle of monitoring and improvement. By implementing these structured controls, the faculty can guarantee a significantly safer, healthier, and more productive environment for everyone. Thank you. That's all.